Good evening, everyone. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. The Metro District Board of Directors will now call this meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Would you take the roll, please?
Director McGowan?
Here.
Director Benetti?
Present.
Director Whiteley?
Here.
Director Oldie?
It is running late. Here.
We do have a full quorum.
Sweet. And we have staff present, our Executive Director, Phil Turnbull, and our Administrative Assistant, Kathy Austin. So if everybody would stand with me. Let us execute the flag of the United States of America and the Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. And our budget officer, just give Robert. Make a few budget comments when you get to that item on the agenda. Perfect. All right. So moving down, well, item 2 on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Anybody have anything that needs to be changed, added, or deleted? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the agenda as it is.
Second. Motion and second to approve as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please.
Director McGowan?
Yes.
Director Benetti?
Yes.
Director
Yeah. Steve?
and Director Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay. Moving on to item 3, approval of the minutes. Review and approval of the minutes from 5/11/2026.
I have a couple of years. You want me to make a motion first?
Go ahead and,
So, item 8, new business, under A, go to prevention.
For which?
Prevention,
Prevention, yes.
the end of that sentence.
Well, I think that we do become commissioners. So,
Hold on, please.
tell the meeting, okay? Yeah. Discuss, tell the meeting, and then did you add the discussion of the?
Yeah, that was where the Chief Sanchez brought up the insurance.
Yeah, the contact for the other. So you can do that. Of a meeting with other agencies and the insurance commissioners contact information will be provided to Chief Sanchez. Does that sound right?
Yeah, for citizens to file a, complaint on unfair practices that they feel.
Next one's H, under mid-road practice and promotional items. Second sentence, starting with Mr. Turnbull.
Okay.
Getting the district's name, get out there.
Getting the district's name out there.
Yep.
Okay.
That was it. I'll quit taking them. I'll make a motion we approve the minutes from May 11th with those modifications.
One second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve as amended. Any further discussion?
Director
Yes.
Director Benetti?
Yes.
Director Whiteley?
Yeah.
Director Oldie?
Excuse?
And Director Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Mr. Oldby just showed up.
We get a name tag.
Welcome.
There he is. Hopefully I gave you enough to do here stuff.
There we go.
Here. Okay, moving out of item 3, jumping right into public hearing for fiscal year 2027 budget hearing and adoption. Vidrow Fire District will now open a public hearing regarding the Vidrow Fire District budget for fiscal year 2026-2027 at 10:30 p.m. So, as budget officer, Mr. Meredith, to present the budget.
So just really quick comments for the board this evening.
I'm going to leave that real quick to make sure everybody's got one of what we're approving. All right. Let's do this before. It's in there, but just in case. Executive Director Turnbull. You.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. There you go. Sorry.
Okay, so as we discussed back when we met as a budget committee, I'm just serving as your budget officer for this year only. Probably in the future, your executive director will probably fill that role. So I have item 4 in your packet in front of me, which includes Exhibit A. I have a couple of quick, very minor corrections to the to Resolution 2026-008 in the matter of adopting the budget. I've got a couple of recommended minor adjustments to that resolution before you consider acting on it. The process in brief is you hold a public hearing on the budget committee's adopted budget. So anybody from the public can has to be given the opportunity to comment on the budget if there are any public members that wish to do so. Then you can talk about potential changes. We hashed out a lot of things at the budget committee level, but if there are any other changes that you might want to put in place before adopting the budget, you can do that within certain limitations. As long as you stay below a certain percentage, you can make some final changes to the budget before the board adopts it. But at this point, the Exhibit A shows you what the recommended budget was, what the final budget committee approved budget was, and so those are all of your numbers for the budget committee's approved budget. And if you have thought of or considered any changes since the time the budget committee met, after the public hearing portion, now would be the time to consider making those changes. And so if you have any questions about the process of making any changes, I'd be happy to address those questions. But other than that, the process is hearing, and then the board acts on the resolution adopting the budget. So when we get to the acting on the resolution, I've got a couple of recommended minor changes for you.
Well, we will open this up to the public for comment. There's no public online, nobody reached out via email, and nobody is here to comment. So we'll move out of public comments and go into discussion on the budget itself as presented.
I have a question about it.
Okay.
There was some conversation about potentially making modifications to the office. I'm just curious what line item that's going to come out of, if we even consider that when we do the initial budget presentation.
Yeah, that came up after the budget.
If I may,
Sure.
I was prepared to make a proposal on this. There's a line item with $20,000 in it for equipment and supplies for vehicle and the executive director. I believe I can stay within that budget and absorb what we have one rough estimate from one vendor right now to give you a rough idea, and it was $8,000. I think it'll be under that. I do a few bids, but I believe that I can take that out of that 20,000 and still live within that, not impacting the bottom line.
So that's for uniform equipment, PPE, supplies. Is that the one you?
Yes.
So is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the uniform equipment, PPE, and then after it says equipment supplies for vehicle and executive. It's been almost half of that. So I would be concerned that leaving you with 10 to 12,000 for a year is going to be tight, because we've already spent part of that for.
Maintenance.
Well, I did not take that into account.
And fuel, that's all with that. That's sort of that.
Maintenance.
Oh, no, we do. Oh, okay. Okay. Vehicle maintenance, repair, fuel expenses.
You know what, that line, that information after the 20,000 should be moved up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what was confusing.
Well, no. No, that is equipment and PP. So that's the equipment and supplies for vehicle and executive director does fall under this $20,000 equipment and PPE. Yeah. So uniform equipment and PPE. That's right.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah, which is for
This description needs to be bumped up.
no. Because the equipment and supplies for the vehicle equipment executive director is still part of this. This is vehicle maintenance and fuel expenses at $4,000. This one falls under the uniform equipment and PPE. Correct.
Minimum PPE for it.
So that explanation on the side does fall in that same.
That's fine. I just want to say we didn't cut ourselves short. That came in through the conversation about it.
So does modifications to the office fall under equipment and supplies for executive director? Qualify for that?
It can, it's all within the material and services budget, so your legal limitations are not by line item within that. It's by, as long as you don't go over
The category.
139,200 total for that material and services category.
So we can, as long as legally we're able to use that money for that, then I think we'd be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine because I've got some breakdown here later when I get into talking about the treasurer's report. When you take out all the money we've already spent for the vehicle, setting up the office, all that, we're pretty good on money. We didn't spend a lot. And I think our budget will go pretty good if we keep, purse strings tight and not just go out there and just spend money to spend them.
Right.
Yeah, this budget is for July 1.
July 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will be spending quite a bit for equipment. Oh, yeah, we have.
Well, yeah.
It's under the extra budget.
Right here we did.
Well, we bought the.
We spent money on a computer, laptop, all that.
Potential voting. Just for the next 30 days.
Yeah, that's what it's there.
Yeah, this has been what we did. Yeah, this was your budget, so we're doing not an extra, so we looked at it. So, yeah, I'm good with keeping it and utilizing that for the, this thing. Okay.
I also had a question just to clarify. Ralph had some brief discussion, but regarding personnel services, I don't know if PERS payments that are 20,000 in the administrative assistant is going to be often fixed to that. Just running some rough numbers. I don't have our PERS, what our PERS contributions will be entirely, but just running rough numbers, that 20,000 is going to be awfully close. Because it's sick, we'll be contributing 6%.
Yeah, we don't have any payroll numbers yet on what's going to be.
So if we're at 10 hours per week for 52 weeks for the year at the salary, And then what's the highest PERS?
I know it's 6%, but there's a sliding matrix scale, and I don't have that.
So if we said 7, we'd be covering ourselves?
I would say.
These rates are much higher. 6% is just the IAP contribution to your
Sure, but
your individual account, which works now like a 401k account. The pension part of PERS rates is like 21, it's going to be, 20 to 30%. Even won't for a while.
So our cost is gonna be how much of their salary?
say 20%. Yeah.
Including the 6%, if the district is going to pay the 6% employees contribution portion, which most agencies do. I figured like 30% to be safe.
I just did a guesstimate.
Yeah, both, all the PERS payments do.
With that, at 10 hours a week, being well under the 1,000.
You can,
I just did a guesstimate on monthly for our 2 employees. And this is just a guesstimate until we actually see the payroll deductions. So it's going to cost us about $15,150.
Did you say 15, 12, 15?
$15,150. And again, this is just estimating with Social Security, workers' comp, everything.
Let me tell you.
Well, once we have the exact numbers, we can always come back and do supplemental budget to correct.
Yes, you can come back at any point and take a little bit out of the contingency and put it in the personnel category. Just by a simple resolution of the board. You don't have to do any budget publications or anything like that. It's just a simple transfer of appropriation resolution that the board adopts.
So we can do that as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, because there may be funds that we're not using in other areas that we can move into that. So I think for budget approval purposes, I think we'd still be good for today without making any changes to that. Donate your salary? Yeah, donate mine. You'll get a match from it.
We're good on
Are you guys good with that process of waiting to see where we're at? We can even do maybe like a mid-year financial review and see where we're at mid-year.
Yeah, because that's the only way we're going to get an accurate
Yeah,
figure.
we need to have the exact payroll figures from our payroll service first.
I agree.
Is everybody good with that? Okay, sweet. Anything else in here that's?
Well, then, you for yourself, I have a comment. It does well.
Well, if you're really good with the budget as presented, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we adopt the budget as it is. Approve the budget as it is.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approving the budget as presented. Any further discussion?
Jay has something.
Did you have?
Is the board going to take a separate vote on the resolution
Yeah.
itself?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got some comments when we get to the resolution.
Yes. So the resolution is to adopt the budget. We just now are doing the vote on approving it as it's presented.
That's fine.
Okay, roll please.
Director McGowan?
Yes.
Director Benetti?
Yes.
Director Whiting?
Yeah.
Director Murphy?
Yes.
Yes. And now we will move in the resolution for a budget adoption. Okay. There it is. Okay. What were your suggestions on this?
Okay, so the paragraph that says, now therefore be it resolved, the numbers and the language just simply needs to follow exactly what it shows in the top summary of Exhibit A. So it needs to say 170,000 for personnel services, 139,200 for materials and services, 200,000 for contingency, take out the word fund, it's just 200,000 for contingency. That's just an appropriation category within your general fund. And it also needs to mention the unappropriated ending fund balance of 980,800 for a total budget of 1,490,000. So the exact categories that are in the column, the summary part on the top, the very beginning of Exhibit A, all of those individual categories that are within the requirements section need to be elaborated in here in the same amount of wording as is shown in that top part of Exhibit A.
Speak. And two for contingency. And appropriate. Maybe with or and. With an unappropriated or and unappropriated.
Either one works.
Appropriated. Ending. Now. Okay, so throw this out and see if this works. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Midrow Fire District hereby adopts the budget for fiscal year 2026-27 in the amount of $170,000 for personnel services, $139,200 for materials and services, $200,000 for contingency with unappropriated ending fund balance of $980,800.
For
For a total budget of $1,490,000. And include reference to Exhibit A as well, as it is stated.
For a total budget of 1,490,000 as seen in Exhibit A. Okay. All right, so let's scratch that. And to there, we'll read it like that. Okay. And Director Benetti, did you have something also?
It's just a double dollar sign, so.
Yep. Okay. All right. So, with those changes, anything further? Let me read that down in full. Midrow District Board of Directors Resolution 2026-008 in the matter of adoption of the budget for the fiscal year 2026-2027 and making appropriations. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Midrow District, where the Midrow District is a political subdivision of the state of Oregon, governed by a duly elected Board of Directors, and whereas on May 27, 2026, the district met to hear public comment on the 2026-2027 budget as approved by the Budget Committee, which has been published according to law in the Daily Courier. And whereas pursuant to ORS 294.453 and 294.456, the district did approve the revisions and adjustments within the limits that the budget officer prepared with the approval of the Budget Committee. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Midrow Fire District hereby adopts the budget for the fiscal year 2026 through 2027 in the amount of $170,000 for personnel services, $139,200 for materials and services, $200,000 for contingency, with unappropriated fund balance of $980,800 for a total budget of $1,490,000. Be it further resolved that the amounts for this fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026, and for the purposes shown in Exhibit A are hereby appropriated. All right. So I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we adopt the resolution 2026-008.
As
As amended. Sorry. Second.
have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2026-008. Further discussions? Hearing none, take the roll, please.
Director Newsom,
Yes.
Director Gelly,
Yes.
Director,
Yeah.
Director Murphy,
Yes.
and Director Jones.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Congrats, you have an adopted budget.
Thank you. We close this public hearing at 5:56 p.m. And we will move into item number 5 on the agenda, and that is the Secretary and Treasurer's report. Now that you have a budget.
Right, we're still working on our older budget. Since our last meeting, expenses we had were the balance on the sound tiles, setting up the GoDaddy email account, cell phone bill, and bought some stuff for the executive director with came out to almost $900. Current balance in our account is $255,725.87. Year to date, we have spent $69,095.13. I did a little figuring in here, and I think it's well within our ability to hold to this. If we can spending, what I come up with, about 200, if we can keep our spending around $254,000 this next year, and I think we can well do it, because that's after what I figured in payroll, we still have $70,000 in there using that amount of money. Our current money we have the last 5 years. If we keep it in the area of 315, it'll last 4 years. So we're good there. We just, because what I'm looking at is we've already bought a vehicle. The office is pretty much done except for adding a door or whatever we're going to do to it. So large expenses, barring something major happening, we're going to be pretty good if we just keep everything, within what we've done. That's still, paying insurance and all that kind of stuff, in there. But it's just, we've done a lot of the major stuff we have to do. Yeah. So that money should go, and the money got transferred into LGIP on the 22nd of this month. The transfer from the county was $1,260,235.87. Like Mark figured and I did. Currently, it sounds like LGIP is at 4% interest. That's about $51,000 a year we get in interest. And then I want to go back to something else. Currently with Evergreen, we've averaged in the high 2s in there. As you see, we're at 255 right now. Since we've been in, our account money has been in there since August 31st of 25, we've accumulated $21.85 in interest. Okay, your savings account is acquired 2 cents. We'll talk about that later when we talk about the cards, but that's not very good.
Yeah, their interest rate is pretty low.
I mean, that's a liability.
All right. Nothing further on Secretary Treasurer. Move into item 6, the Executive Director report. And item A is the strategic plan.
I thought I'd just go through real quick, run down my general projects first before I got to the strategic plan. Over the last couple of weeks since we last met, a little more than 2 weeks, I've met with a little over half a dozen of the area fire chiefs, 2 of the 3 county commissioners. I'm not sure what Stacy Maxwell's position is with District 3, but she's, okay. I met with the CFO, Fire District 3, and a real impactful meeting with Dan Peterson, who I think most of you are familiar with who Dan is, and not that long ago he retired as the fire chief from one of the nation's larger fire departments. I know they got their own exclusive club for the top 500. He was in that, 15 cities in his consolidated fire authority they ran. At any rate, he's doing consulting, and we got some free out of him when I got to have lunch with him. And I'll talk a little more about that later on in the report when it comes up. Attended 3 chamber greetings so far. Got a presentation scheduled for Rotary. I actually put that off a little while because I don't feel we're quite ready yet. They're one level up in the big league. I'd like to start with some smaller organizations first in terms of public presentations, but I'm working on it. Working on gathering up the contact information for as many of the local nonprofits as I can. Excuse me. And then when we get to the strategic plan here in a minute, do you have a copy of the Gantt chart in your packets? Well, do you have the actual chart?
No.
Okay.
There was a sample Gantt chart in there. Have the,
Yeah, that
Should be actually the regular sample. What's the sample?
all right. The advantage of the Gantt chart is it takes all that wording in there and lays it out so that it's pretty easy to understand. And it's easy enough to understand. I can give this to you verbally, you're not gonna have a problem following it. And it really comes down to the stakeholder meetings that I'm currently holding. I figure will continue for another month. So I've got them in blocked off as one of the primary activities I'm doing for May and June. I added in your formation of Friends of Mid-Road Fire District, but I'd like to talk about that a little bit, but I don't even hung up on it while we're doing the flow. So I'm gonna come back and talk about that in a minute. Then we've got the position papers starting in June and July. I'd like to be hammering those out in draft form, very much like we're doing the strategic plan now. Break up the presentation over several meetings to allow adequate time for feedback. And I don't want to do this in a bubble. I really do like consensus building on something like that. But that's those, I still haven't evolved that any further than the 4 primary talking points that I'd like to do a paper on each of them, blending them together into one platform. And as I said, I'll get a draft to everybody where you have plenty of time to look that over as I begin writing on it. I've already been writing on it when I started the strategic plan, while we were refining it. And then that's the one that we would take those 4 papers and we could work it down into one-page flyer that has the primary points. The papers provide the depth that we all agree to give us the back knowledge to survive the question and answer period, but we really would never do a presentation where we try to roll out all that information. And then of course it also, you condense it further and further down to where it's a couple of bullet points, or even just your primary bullet point might make a yard sign or a display ad, etc. So that is coming up in the next couple of weeks is when I dive into that. Standard to cover, that's going to be more of a supervisory role because I intend to have the lion's share of the standards to cover work is going to be done by Rural Metro. They already have one they're currently using. They've been using it for a number of years. However, again, I will be presenting the board with criteria that I'd like because I want to raise the bar on what they've been doing a little bit. Doing it internally, that's fine for what they did for themselves. So they had, again, the terminology and the ability to communicate with each other and talk the same language about it, because when you get to describing coverage, there can be a lot of misconceptions in a casual conversation. So you nail that stuff down and get some criteria for it. They've done a pretty good job, as I said, at a basic level, but I believe that we have a responsibility to clean up the communication and, public accountability is the main thing. So more on that later, of course. But working with Rural Metro, the actual research and the majority of the work, I'm assuming that we've blocked it. Yes, I know they know it's coming. So that I've actually given 3 months to get that done in order to do it right. And I'll talk about the time frame on this a little more, but we've now hit our first item that takes us clear through into August. And of course, I do have fire season to take into account when cutting them a little bit of slack perhaps, but we'll see. It's at that point that we start doing more of the civic organizations, and that's when we get to the Rotary level by August, where we're going into some of the A-list clubs and larger groups. By that time, just like I use the example everybody seems to understand of the purpose of those earlier meetings is like a comedian doing small clubs before their Comedy Central special. And that's exactly what we're talking about here, is trying to find a way to communicate to where we can be honest, straightforward, and speak in plain English that people understand, and have enough time to get feedback that we can refine that message. Going into September, we work on 3 items that all are necessary to blend together. And at the end of that, we have both our platform, and we should be able to have enough information to identify at that point when we want to go to the public, assuming that we do. And I think that is a strong possibility we will. We've been openly discussing that for a long time. And the dollar amount. And in order to get there, we've got to have a pro forma budget. In order to have a pro forma budget, we have to have a tentative agreement. In fact, it really needs to be a signed agreement with Rural Metro. We can't put this on the ballot. I know we're not targeting May right now, but let's say we did, and we went a year from now. We cannot have a yes vote and then go negotiate, because how did we ever get to what we're putting on the ballot? We have to go from the vote. We have the standard to cover, pro forma budget, and our long-term service delivery plan, which you need both of those in order to do. That gets us everything we need to be able to, I forget the name of it right now, I've been studying that, but to put in the official paperwork to where we asked to go on the ballot. And I remember that that's 61 days ahead of time, and we probably want to beat that by quite a bit. Then we launch into real public education at that point, and continue, of course, doing the presentations where we can. I really believe those are impactful. But at that point now, we can look at whatever we've come up with by that point in terms of Facebook, well, I guess they call that geofencing, is the term they use for that, other social media platforms, and your standard old-fashioned media platforms as well. And I am going to propose right now that what we adopt here, and I'm not sure that the title on the front page says it exactly, but that we adopt this as simply our 2026 strategic plan, and that by the end of the year we have, I think there's going to be, and this is where I was going to talk about the time frame, there's going to be enough changes that we're going into so much unknown territory and looking at so many different options. I really think that we ought to enter the calendar year with a new one-year version at that point. And so I'm proposing that this particular one and the Gantt chart to go with it, quit using that term, just our timeline to go with it, to take us through the end of the year, and then it include writing the next 12 months at that point. So it's really going to be 6 months roughly. And then at the end of that, we renew another 12 months, because I don't think we can predict out that far where we're going to be. Just to give you an example on that, one of the things I was concerned about as I was doing this is the time frame looks like we should be able to get this done in half this time. Except that doesn't take, I mentioned fire season as one reality. Another one is what Dan Peterson did to rock my plans by opening my mind to other alternatives. None of them are fleshed out to the point where I can give you anything except that he was extremely concerned that we've got a rare opportunity for a reset that our neighboring fire districts don't have. They're locked into the current game. That was the reason he linked me up with Stacy Maxwell, the CFO for Fire District 3. He had worked with the Readings Fire Chief there and says she's among the best in understanding the current, I don't want to call it the game, the current strategies that the fire districts are using to survive. And the problem is, and I've vetted this out through several of our neighboring fire district chiefs in the last couple of weeks, they've got their long-term prognosis is not looking real good. Don, you're probably familiar with this. There's a number of reasons behind it, but just to give you one example is Oregon's collective bargaining laws. Here's what it comes down to. We, in general, and I've been studying best practices for rural Oregon fire districts to try to learn a little more about this. In addition to all these conversations, here it is in a nutshell, and this is a broad generality. We've got about a 3% growth we can count on after we get our tax base passed. Yeah, and that's great, and that will make us feel real good. We can probably all get out of here before the crisis comes. And the problem is we're looking at 5 to 6% is about the best they can do when tightening their belt. Meaning the long-term prognosis is this current system is not working. Dan's advice was look at every alternative. Look at them all. None of them are ready to present anything right now. I don't have a handle on it. I just trust him enough to, I think we ought to take his advice. The reason I'm bringing that up, I'm talking about the time frames. Well, there we go. A curveball I wasn't expecting. Who knows what kind of research I get into going that route. And of course, he wasn't saying he could guarantee that it would go anywhere. He just simply said, don't jump before you look at every direction. Don't just stay focused on this one, because it's not the panacea for all time. Because I had probably just naivety on my part that we could be fiscally responsible, which is a theme of this organization that I adore, and I'm right there with you, and that we could set up a long-range, really solid, successful operation here. And Dan is saying, okay, if that's the goal, then be careful. And that was what I got from my conversation with him. A few more details, but I said nothing that I could really, he was far more articulate. As an example, he did give me quite a bit of information on the fire authorities and fire entities, gave me a copy of Eugene Springfield's agreement. I haven't had time to digest it yet, but there is a cover letter that explains it fairly well. And that's going to take a little bit of my time. I'll drag any of you into it and keep you informed to the degree you want. But as I come up with something where I think that there might be a possibility of this one gaining some traction, I'll be presenting it in the form. So that's where I'm at with the strategic plan and why I'd like us to limit this to really a 6 months plan at this time. I don't want to try to project out any further than that.
We could adopt this as a 6-month plan tonight, and then have language for next week. Well, we can approve this as a 6-month plan and then have a resolution to adopt it next meeting, if that's the direction you wish to go.
I would appreciate that, yes.
I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the strategic plan for a 6-month time frame as it is, and I've gone through it and it looks good.
Very well.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the strategic plan for a 6-month time frame as presented. Any further discussion?
I would like to get the Gantt chart to go with it though, so that, you know, got something good.
We can have it out to you in the email tomorrow.
Okay.
Just, nothing to change on it, but just a clarification, I agree with what Dan's saying, alluding to, that a 3% cap on Measure 50 is really handicapping because our cost of living is much bigger than 3%, the inflation of goods and services. But I would encourage you to, as you've already alluded to, looking at the neighboring departments, grabbing budgets, looking at that growth, even Jay, in the years that we worked together at the city, can look at that 10-year growth plan that happened and probably project where it's going to go so that we're not, like Dan said, on the blind side of it, looking at traditional tax base and things like that. But we should get the past 10 years and project where we're going to go in the next 10 years for cost of trucks and all that stuff. So I think it's good that we're open, our eyes open that way.
Something that we do have available to us is that we went to the Oregon Fire Chiefs Conference last week, 2 weeks ago. There's an economist who presented. He will present at SDAO and SDAS, and he did a phenomenal job walking through what fire districts and municipalities can expect. And it's not just speaking to the fire service in general, but it's economy as a whole. And 2030 is very, very concerning for economic growth and sustainability. But that presentation is available, and I would encourage you to attend it at the next SDAO or SDAS conference.
You said the presentation is currently available?
I think it's on SDAO's website, don't quote that. But if it's not, you will be presenting again at the next SDAO conference.
They're pretty good about keeping like fire chief meetings and stuff on there, like the one I went to this deal. You can go back and look it up, but I can only look up the stuff that I was reading for. Well, it may not be the same for fire chiefs, but I just know the FDL one that I went to, because I've been there a couple times. There's one that I wanted to find and they wouldn't let me in.
If I designed it, I would figure it out, because it's something that's very, very well put together and really gives you some thoughts to just consider as we look at long-term sustainability.
Yeah, and one thing to think about too, and that I know that 3% thing gets thrown out, but that 3% is an increase is actually assessed value. So as properties are actually added to the tax bill, that does add to that. It's not a 3% tax increase, it's just a 3% equity value. That's what Measure 50, Measure 5 did. So that's the site. So no, it's a 3% increase that the assessor can put onto the properties. They can't go any more than 3%, that's the cap. But that every year, the value of your assessed value will go up 3%. However, if there's more building going on, more homes, more businesses, and more things, that those go onto the tax rolls and then increase the overall tax revenue for each. So that 3% is a little, it's not an actual tax increase, just so everybody's making sure that that's not your tax. 3% every year, it's the assessed value that increases 2%.
How's the fire going to change the values of people's property when you can't sell them because of can't getting insurance? Unless someone does as well.
Yeah, which is the concern also.
Big concern.
It is.
You only got $1 million in the river there.
Okay.
I think also what Dan was talking about was basically what you guys just step outside the box, look outside the box.
So
there's
we got to reel it back in. We have a motion and a second and a discussion on the strategic plan. So before we get too far out of the strategic plan, do we have any more based on the strategic plan? Okay, please.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett,
yes.
Dr. Wingate,
Yes.
Dr. B,
Yes. Yes.
carried 3-0.
So we approved the strategic plan for a certain period and we'll have a resolution ready to adopt it next. Did you have anything further?
I've got some old business coming up. I can wait until then.
All right. We'll move out of item 6 into item 7, public comment. Do we have any public that wishes to make attendance? Seeing none, we'll move right into the whole business. Starting with 8A, payroll and accounting update. We solve our BIN issue. No.
Well, we solved the BAN, but not the, you go route, what do you got?
The VIN thing is solved. They were incorrect. They didn't need a social security number. However, now I found out talking to Jennifer, there's a third party involved. They don't actually do the payroll. They use a company called QuickBooks, not them. And she gave me the name and said the person. They want, again, a full social security number.
So Tammy called me today to try to expand on that.
I'm not going to give them mine.
Yeah, she did. Not for the accounting purposes to do a direct deposit to our employees. They require, and I don't understand all this to be frank, but they required a social security number for Evergreen. Evergreen requires a social security number to allow transfer from a bank account to another bank account.
So it's the bank that requires it, not the.
That is what Tammy was telling me today.
The bank has a social security number.
Right. Yeah.
I am getting stuck. I'm hitting stick points.
When she told me at first in an email, I need your name, phone number, date of birth, last 4 digits of your social security number. I gave her that. Then she comes back, oh no, I need your whole security number. I said, nope.
So
This is Jennifer.
So we have a contract with a payroll and accounting company.
Yes, but they are not the actual ones doing it. They use another contract. Yes.
What they use QuickBooks is their technology platform. QuickBooks is a program that
She told me in the conversation, you can call QuickBooks, who's not with them in their office. And she gave me that Tammy's number. And I told her, Jennifer, I said, I'll deal with it at the meeting tonight. And she got kind of snappy. Just,
Yeah, Tammy's the one who does all seasons, or all states, I'm sorry. Jennifer's the one who does her payroll.
well, Jennifer made it act like it's another third party. In the conversation I was and it sounded like there's another party.
So you're right, they're probably using QuickBooks, which is a separate entity. That's probably what she's saying. I use QuickBooks for my business as well.
Well, my point is,
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. I don't know if it's bonded. And I had my accounts got in 2 years ago and she had my social security number. They're volunteer.
I agree with you. You shouldn't be.
So the bank already has it. So if she's saying the bank needs it in order to transfer it, then she needs to just contact or guy at the bank or Terry at the bank and get that sorted out because the bank already has that information from us.
And then the other issue they caused us is letters from the IRS because they went to try to do a electronic federal tax payment system entry and they gave them a name that doesn't match with IRS. And all they had to do was use our PIN number, which they had, and evidently they didn't use it correct. And that's what made these letters come out. I spent 3 hours on the phone with the IRS trying to iron that out. And then the IRS figured it was the payroll company, possible decision.
So we need to find it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
There's got to be a smoother way to that.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of the key figure, so if it's something we need to shop around for, then we probably should.
One of the first place was we made that hiring itself a separate group, and I wasn't in that group.
Well,
And it's not because of this social security number issue. And if I have to step down as a treasurer.
well, then you have something you're gonna take later that could be the answer to the bank.
Yeah, but so payroll wise, we need, moving forward, we're already 2 weeks into employees and you can start paying them something. So,
Can we just run out checks until we can take some time to break this down a little bit more?
well, we'll need to figure out deductions and what, and as far as, coming up with stuff too, we'll have to probably figure out, but we could. We just need to make sure that everything is, conducted properly. And we don't have any payroll software to, do that for us, and, not really wanting to push that on to Ralph, so. So the holdup with this current payroll company is the fact that QuickBooks is saying the bank needs our social security number or transfer funds to our employees' bank accounts.
Which I've explained to her that they have.
Okay, so then let's reach out to our bank and have them contact this person from the payroll department directly. If their customer service will sort it out for us. We'll talk to a couple people at Evergreen and see if they can help us. So if you want, I will meet with you. You and I can go talk to
We
them.
can talk to them, yeah.
Get it straight.
We have to make an appointment because
Yeah.
usually down there, every time I go in there, oh yeah, I make an appointment.
Make a call. Okay.
So that's where that stands, but because it involves payroll, here is our policy for workers' comp.
Perfect.
Because we want to put that in the file with the
Yes.
Yeah. Get that, yeah, so
Please. Okay. Yeah, 2 people, right. Okay, anything else with payroll and accounting update?
that's pretty much it.
Okay, so you and I will, get with the bank and try to straighten this out.
And we got something that involves our budget and stuff, but I'll bring that in additional matters again, bring in. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we'll move out of item A and into 8B, which is district office review. You're ready for that, sir?
Indeed, it sounds like it needs to be fast tracked. What I would like to know is if the board has any recommendations for contractors I could get bids from.
What type of remodel?
Oh, okay, pretty easy. You're familiar with the closet that they got in? There used to be a window on the wall that faces the Wildland building in the parking lot. I'd like to reinstall that window. And then as you're facing the building to that block, just to the left in the corner, put an exterior door, so we got a direct entrance. Leave the existing door in there, but basically leave it locked. Knock out the walls so the hallway now becomes part of the office. Leave the door that goes into the bathroom there with a punch lock that's ours, so we control it. It also then meets the ADA compliance, assuming that we give a little ramp to the door, the exterior door. And that's pretty much it, other than flooring and paint, a little lipstick. The estimate that I got was 8,000. I think we could do a little better than that, given what I just described. Minor amount of electrical. In fact, I'm not even sure if there is any electrical in that partition wall we're gonna knock out. May not be.
The light switches.
The light switch.
Light switches are,
There is a light, okay, there's a little bit of electrical there, but it's not bad.
and a plug, yeah.
Oh, and the landlord has approved it. I went through Rural Metro and got tentative approval from the landlord to do
Are
it.
you talking about shared bathroom still or closing off their side?
It'd be a shared bathroom still.
Lock inside the bathroom.
Good.
Contact Sarobi Enterprises and see if they can make that modification.
Is there an issue with the, board that they have in there that has all the old, radio equipment and stuff in there?
A minor issue in the appearance of the room, but no, it's not gonna interfere with the window.
Oh, the window's on the other side of it?
Yes. Yeah, it won't interfere. I figured we'd leave it.
That's like phone lines.
Yeah, it's a cover for,
Yeah.
and I figured we just paint it and try to blend it in.
No condensing it.
Yeah.
Put a poster on it, make it look like it's supposed to be there.
Are you at the rod that hangs down from the speaker? Maybe have them put a volume control on those, set it up.
It's in the plan.
Yeah.
Right now, the volume control's on the ceiling. There's a piece of PVC. Make it. It is, I think you've all been there, it is pretty tacky right at the moment. And one of the meetings I did have is with Sam Lashley, and that I went ahead and used their office, which meant I had the rural metro foot traffic coming through right there. So it would be, I think it's necessary.
Yeah, that room's been meeting with people there, yeah, definitely. So I would say without objection, we, move forward with the, for you.
All right, please forward me the names of anyone that you might know of. I can run you up a couple, I'm just looking for recommendations.
Bulletproof.
Oh, yeah.
He lives out there, out by the station there. We stay over by us. Can text him, let him know that you're gonna reach out to him and they answer your call.
And you want to include me in the text?
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. That's all I have.
Your business number.
Please.
All right, moving into item C, public relations firm.
This one is, it's not part of the strategic plan right now. It really came out of, not so much the conversation with Dan, but subsequent conversations looking at best practices, or in plainer language, talking to fire chiefs around the area and other fire service administrators about what they've been doing to get through life for a while. And it is perfectly within the norm and seems to be acceptable for us to engage firms to help us with things like our upcoming public education. We all are well aware that we're not allowed to advocate for any plan we come up with, but we are allowed and should, we're being responsible, explain ourselves as well as possible. This is more of a, I'm listing it here because I've been surprised at the number of districts that have engaged people to assist them with this. As you know, I was planning on tackling this myself. I'm looking more for thoughts. I'm not advocating for it. And of course, the big downside is, well, there's two. But the biggest one is, I'm not sure what it would cost, but it's not going to be cheap. So we'd be utilizing a sizable chunk of the money we were planning on using for the purpose of communicating with the public as a result. And the other one is, I'm not overly convinced that you can educate an outsider enough on our nuances to trust that they're going to call the ball with any better results than we could get on our own. But it almost sounds like I'm talking out of it. I'm trying to remain neutral and just say, I'm willing to consider it. I'd like the board's thoughts on it. Would you like me to drop it immediately? Or is it something that I've got some recommendations, several of them, including one from a county commissioner that it was Martin, really thought that it'd behoove us to consider the firm that she used, and spoke highly of them and their capabilities. And I don't want to say that I know enough about this to where I'm looking for thoughts and direction on this one.
I think if we were to go in that direction, we almost want to interview these firms to see what they can do and what, if you use the word, how they're going to sell it. And I think in our county, we have to be very careful that we don't get some slick company coming here that turns everybody off.
Absolutely.
Because you know how the people are when it comes to tax loose, or somebody that's not familiar with the area or with the people. And I think I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but we have to be very, very careful. And I did a little research after I saw this come out, and they're $150 to $500 an hour, as much as attorneys are practically, or more. And an example is that, back before we became a board, they spent $56,000 on that consultant report. Versus what we pay, what are we gonna get from it versus maybe one day having, whether we have to do an executive session or an open session, is brainstorm how we can approach this. I know we used to do that, all captains meetings, all 3 divisions, and we'd sit there with a whiteboard and come up with ideas and then break it down to our top 10, top 5, and go from there, because we may be able to come up with some damn good ideas and save a little bit of money ourselves.
I believe no matter what we do here, we need to do that.
Yeah, because I'm the treasurer and I'm all about fiscal responsibility. This is a grant we got, but it's still taxpayers' money, because that's where it came. And we need to show the taxpayers, if we're gonna try to get a tax base, that we're gonna spend their money wisely. Just like Rural Metro does now, talking to Austin and Steve, they have to account for every dollar they spend. I worked for a city where I was in charge of all the tools and equipment for all 10 stations and all apparatus. And they'd give me $1 million budget, and if I didn't use it, they'd give it to some other division to use, because the rule was if you don't use it, you lose it. I don't believe in that.
Chris looks into your.
Yeah. I think better.
I would say, I think, considering it as a valuable tool, like, let's get some information on what and how they would approach, because I think we're going to put a tremendous amount of horsepower in how we market, actually how we communicate. And there are some really unique ways to do that, and some people have some very dynamic means to pull those things together. And if they understand the message well enough, even if they're not like the lead, but they're a tool to help project the image and message, I think that's a pretty strong consideration. I fully agree. We need to be very cautious in, with considering our political climate and all the things, as well as the fiscal impact.
Yeah.
But I also think, like, for me, social media is miserable. I mean, it's great to stay in touch with people, but how much information is spewed. But there's also ways to market and communicate effectively through, I'll use the social media as an aspect. I have no skill set for social media whatsoever, but there are some dynamic ways to reach people through social media that I think a firm that has individuals who are skilled with those kind of things may be a consideration.
All right, so if I may, I feel I have a consensus enough to cautiously move forward and bring what I learned back to the body.
Yeah. So what I'm picking up though is that you're looking for somebody who can disseminate the information that we come up with. So somebody to get that out there is really what you're looking for, or are you looking for somebody to actually create that information?
No, what Tom was talking about, people with creative ideas about how to distribute it is probably the main thing. I personally, it's probably the biggest gap in my mind. I'm going to tend to fall into the traditional ruts. And there are new methods there, and there are plenty of studies. There's also an art to, another one would be public surveys. There's an art to doing that right. You can very easily get the results you want, but that wouldn't do us any good if we're really after the information about where we stand. So there's a couple of examples. So I'm intrigued enough that I brought it up, but I also agree with everything Ralph said.
Yeah.
We need to be very, very cautious about not throwing our money away here.
Being involved in a local nonprofit that's doing well now, but I was involved with an outsider that was coming in trying to get it off the ground. It was amazing to watch the community reject, turn away, and not be interested. But as soon as we ended up hiring a local base that people know, completely changed the way their attitude is about it. So I agree with Ralph, especially if we hired a firm out of Eugene. Somewhere. It's definitely. I agree with you. It's something we need to look at, but we definitely can't send a blank check and say, who represents
Yeah, I'm comfortable with what I got out of this conversation to move forward with it.
Presentation when I went to the SDO conference, and I just tried to get in, but they've already shut off access to all the stuff. But I do have an email from the gal Liz at llpa.biz. That's her email address. She contacted myself and Chief McGill from an agency up north that she's working with. So her agency has 93% success rate, and what she does is they go in, they only take 13 clients a year. They evaluate the history of the area, the funding measures. They have a big algorithm of the way they do that, and then she decides whether she wants to take it on or not. That's why they have a 93% success rate, is because they're pretty careful on who they pay. I have no idea what she gets money-wise, but I have an email address and I'm happy to share it with you, and that might be just another resource. It's kind of what you're looking for. They just try to find funding for taxpayers.
That would segue into the next one, because it's a very related but slightly different topic. Is I do have, and this, by the way, is through involvement with that nonprofit over in Klamath County that I'm trying to get on their feet. And they have an appointment, it's tomorrow afternoon, with a firm called Funding Navigator. And Funding Navigator did do a presentation at one of the state conferences, because I know that Applegate, as an example, is using. It's a flat fee of $4,500 to use them to get in the door, and then they put you into their algorithm. But as I said, the reason, I figured while I was talking to them as Klamath Marsh, I would also be evaluating them to see if it's worth anything worth bringing back here. It's just $4,500 without just.
See some history.
Yeah. But they've got plenty of clients. And then related to that, since that is fundraising, is just letting everybody know that I did get forwarded the information regarding the 3 standard grants that are popular with other fire districts, and that being SAFER, AFG, and FP and S, which I think FP is fire prevention, and that's specific to that. Now, that could be public education. It might be something that would help. We might be interested in all 3 of those. This is an area, however, where we'll either need to develop some of our own expertise, which a lot of organizations have done in-house, get a group together, or that one individual with a lot of time and start learning this. And of course, there are firms out there, Funding Navigator being one. As I said, that $4,500 though, just think about it, you'd have to be pretty successful. But as I said, they've got clients, so there are fire districts that are using them.
So, and this would be for grant awards and stuff?
Yes.
The Ford Foundation does have a technical assistance grant. If we were to find a person to be our grant writer, their grant is for the grant writer, and it's up to $5,000. Through the Ford Foundation. It's a technical assistance grant, and it's $5,000. And so that may be something, but we would have to have a grant writer lined up and the cost of that grant writer. Well, to be able to apply for the grant, we have to present the name and business that's going to be doing the grant writing for us. So we would have to find the grant writer first, not necessarily secure them, but have them agree to be our grant writer if we were to obtain that grant, and then that would cover their costs. The Ford Foundation does it every year, but I'm not sure what the dates are for it.
I think it just passed.
It just passed.
These 3 are open right now. The window just opened. I believe it was June
12th, I think.
And that was a little later than that. I've got the email. We'll forward that on the Gantt chart, just so everybody can see it. It goes from Ron Wyden's office.
For the 3.
But it was forwarded through the Chiefs Association.
For the 3.
For all 3 of them. Yeah, it gives you a little write-up on all 3 of them.
The SAFER grant would do us any good because we don't have firearms. So,
Not only that, but from what I know about the strings attached to it,
yeah.
not saying I wouldn't try to look at it to see if I think I know, but based on what I think I know, no, we wouldn't want to touch that one. It'd be,
The other two are possibilities.
yeah,
June 22nd.
Because I myself, I knew there was a 2 in 22nd.
that's still pretty tight.
Yeah,
It's-
but it can be done.
648.
Now, so are we going to treat that the same as the previous one? Only this is one where in one form or another, so we're going to move forward with both. Whether we use any outsider or not, we'll be moving forward with both. And then I kind of need to segue into something slightly not on the agenda. I gave reference to the fact that when I covered the Gantt chart, I talked about forming the Friends of Mid-Road. And I said I need to address that later, but I forgot to add it in as its own item. It's, again, it's the third part of this, the same discussion about seeking outside help, only in this case, right here, we're simply talking about the fact that there are people in the community that are gearing up, waiting for us to provide to give them something to start working on, that are working on going for a PAC. And just a little bit of research I've had time to do, there's quite a difference between a PAC's ability to communicate our plan and a 501c, even if they're registered. The strings attached to the 501c3, 3C, okay, regarding their ability to actually get out and promote a measure on our behalf are pretty limited. The PACs, that's why it exists. There is a C4, which is more, it has the ability to do more in the way of promoting a measure, but their contributions that they need to be seeking to operate on are not tax deductible, where the C3 is. What it really comes down to is, I think, us encouraging and feeding people toward supporting a PAC that is there on our behalf is a better way to go than forming the Friends right now. And that was the direction I had been leaning. Only because it's so common in other districts around us.
Can you, the reason I'm asking this question is like when we were, the union did the same thing, we were supporting, and the fire union, we were supporting PACs and whatnot, but then we ended up creating a PAC within our own union in our budget and whatnot. My question would be, can we do that with the Friends, have the 501c, and then create the PAC within that?
That I do not know.
Because then basically you're allocating that money for the PAC funds for the use, and it's still within your nonprofit organization.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm bringing this up is the energy of, we can form the Friends, put energy into forming the Friends, the support nonprofit branch of ours. We can encourage a PAC.
Yeah.
We are not in a position where we are the ones starting that. We can coordinate with them. We can educate them as our primary role, so that they go out and can speak factually. But that's the difference. Is a lot of the impact your staff's time, as an example.
So to help with grants, also having that, I know at the FDBA conference that we attended, they brought up for seeding the grants, having a 501c does help us to get those grants. So the Friends of the 501c could help gain some grants for the district, and then the 501c.
But then maybe we want to pursue
donate funds to the district.
Maybe we want to do what we can to continue to support a PAC being formed outside of us. Be cooperators with them, if you will, in terms of feeding them accurate information, and still consider forming our own in-house nonprofit.
Yeah, the way they brought it up in the presentation was that it opens the door for the district to get other grants that they wouldn't normally be able to qualify for, because it is a 501c that's applying for the grants on behalf of the district, is how we benefit. So,
And they're to a limited degree to advocate for a plan that we develop. It's just, it's got to meet their mission statement, and it can't be a primary function of theirs, because then they're really becoming a PAC. So we have to be careful about that, but.
yeah.
I still think the Friends is a good way to go, because we're gonna need that community group support to help with the Gantt chart later. When we start doing the door knocking with community people support. I think the Friends would be a great way to set it up now, and then we have it for the future.
Okay, along those lines then, one of the areas where using an outside consultant, because I have done it both ways, help start a nonprofit from scratch, or found a firm that will do all of the filing. You still have 100% control of it. It costs a couple of dollars. It's not, in this case, it's not huge, the way we were talking about those, because it's a one-time shot, but they line out and get all the paperwork legal to get them their own, I almost said FDID, IE, things, anyway, yeah. Anyway, they get that, gets registered with the state of Oregon, get all the paperwork in order, and then lead you through them, our nonprofit, through the resolutions they need to establish for they have to have an initial meeting, adopt bylaws, et cetera. And this one I found to be very much worthwhile. So if we're gonna do this, I'd like to link, and I think I'll go to the people that I know are wanting to do the PAC, and I don't see any reason they couldn't be in both organizations at the same time. So
I see a benefit 20 years down the road to have Friends in the mid-road.
Yeah.
After all this, so we're targeted in a direction. Having that already set up and running beside the district would be a huge thing. Not having to try to recreate the wheel down the road.
Do you need final approval for him to move forward? I think we should.
I think, form or without all right, so let's, I would entertain a motion. Somebody else move it.
I made a motion that we go forward with the creation of the Friends of Mid-Road Fire District, and the creation of the nonprofit group.
Second. Motion and a second to move forward with creating the Friends of Mid-Road Fire District nonprofit organization. Any further discussion?
Director McDonald,
Yes.
Director Benetti, Director White,
Yes.
Director
Yes.
Director Jones.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you.
All right, let's move into item E on the old business. Oregon State Department of Fire identification number updates.
Attempting to be concise on this, because there's a lot of cooks in this kitchen already when I stepped into it. So using Sam Lashley, our local State Farm, Deputy State Farm Marshal representative for our county, as a starting point, I got his take on it. Our board president supplied me with an email chain for other people that have been involved in it. And the bottom line was Sam and I thought it would be best if I went ahead and just used my position and my newness here to try to consolidate the issue down to a single formal channel. I wrote him an email with that purpose, which he then forwarded on to somebody named Chad, and I can't remember Chad's last name, I got it in here, but it doesn't really matter. I don't even know Chad's position, but he is what Sam believes is the appropriate place for me to link up with the fire marshal's office. And here's the bottom line. They have made a decision. I didn't in my email question the decision. What I asked for was clarification and understanding as to why they made that decision, based on the fact that this could potentially have broader ramifications for our contract with Rural Metro, because the decision they made was to deny us, And as I understand it, the denial is based on the fact that we're not delivering service ourselves. They were using a contractor. Whether or not that's because it's a private contractor or just any contract, I don't, and I didn't want to dig. I want a fresh start on this. And as I said, there's been a lot of conversations during it. I did go ahead and print out a version of the email thread. This goes back almost a year ago. This body was provided with a list of things that we had to do in order to get our FDID. And I thought I'd run real quickly through them to give you an idea of what they said. I'm going to leave out the ones I think we got nailed, and I just highlighted a few areas that they're questioning or whatever, but it starts off here, have at least one member of the board or agency bonded or in possession of an irrevocable letter of credit for financial matters.
All five bonded, and the three of us are on
Okay.
the bank.
All right, here is have a fire chief. Now, in this particular case, Sam said that Mike Shaw, who's in his chain of command, has already let him know that he felt that doing what we're doing of having our policies state, that's later on the agenda, by the way, having our policies updated where it states fire chief and or executive director would be acceptable. Now, again, because of the number of cooks, I don't think we should take that as it's an indication from someone that we trust and know that would be acceptable, but I'm just saying it'd be rude for us to plant a flag on that, just put Mike in that position. I may just spend his opinion off the cuff. It may not be the official position of the fire marshal's office, but it is an indication that we may not have a problem with that one. The next one is serve as an assistant to the fire marshal. And then underneath this are all of your typical fire investigation code enforcement items. In this particular case, I've taken a little bit of liberty, and after the conversation with Sam, getting his thoughts on the topic, I held a conversation with a neighboring fire chief and to see if there would be any interest in mutual aid or a modest contract to contract that service out to a public entity. And the reason for that is I've got a personal opinion on this. I think it's well known. I have nothing against private enterprise, but I do think there's enough entanglement with laws here that the duties of the fire marshal are a little different than even those of the fire chief from an operational standpoint. And I do think that if, again, my opinion only, but moving forward into a long-term contract with a private entity for service delivery doesn't bother me. I'm not sure that we shouldn't hold on to that position as a district on a permanent basis. That those responsibilities go into the district and really can't be delegated. And you can push back on that, that's just my opinion.
So in our amendment to the service agreement, we designated Chief Nelson as the individual to operate on our behalf with the state department. So it is designated already that he is serving on behalf of the Midville Fire District.
That's what he's saying, would be part of it.
That is private.
Don't know. I'm just saying that if we have a hiccup, that's where I would expect it to be. And I think they've got some validity in a concern there. And by the way, Bill actually was the one I was talking to. He has the qualifications or the ability to get them in a hurry, even if he's a retired fire marshal.
78 states specifically that we have the right to contract with any person for protection services. It does not say that we have to.
And there's the fact that
I mean, that's a state statute. They are not even upholding because it doesn't state that we have to contract with another agency. It says any person to provide service.
Okay.
So, and that's what I had responded to her in that email. You'll see that I put that over on ORS when we responded to her back in close to a year ago.
that did remind me in laying out the story. I think it is germane to the whole topic and my view on it, that in the thread, President Jones has indicated 2 conversations with the state fire marshal herself, where she seemed to validate and back her staff's decision to deny it at this time. And that was one of the reasons that my letter to Sam did not question that. I don't want to get sideways with them. What I want to know is why. And that was really what I was trying to ask, is to please help us understand why. But I didn't want to.
Question in regards to the chief position, we're using a private party to provide chief services. Would it be simple for us to describe you, the executive director or administrative chief of Mid-Road Fire District, and recognize Steve Nelson as the service?
Well, and then there's also, it's done in the military and private enterprise, it's very common for HR to have your official title is one thing, and then very much like a DBA in a business, your daily functional title. So yeah, that'd be a potential solution, would be I am the fire chief for the district, functional title of executive director. Would also, so, but I thought right now, I don't know that the lack of an FDID is hurting us at the moment. We've got time here. We know that our relationship with the State Fire Marshal's Office is extremely important. And so just asking them for clarification, and we'll see what they have to say and take it from there is my recommendation.
It will hinder us with those 2 grants that you're wanting to get approved.
Well, now, didn't you say that our State Fire Marshal?
She did state that she would write a letter that should offset that. However, it's up to the agencies that you're applying to whether or not they accept that letter and approve of an FDID number.
If it got denied, that'd give us even stronger grounds to go back and, okay, this is our point.
Yeah, we can't get funds.
And he said, they may take that, but I agree, allowing Executive Director Turnbull to move forward with his approach to please clarify why is probably a good way to do it. In direct contact with those people.
I agree.
I think that's probably good enough on that. So we had some more to cover, but we've done it. That's, I'm comfortable. Unless I'm redirected by this body, then we'll stick with my current strategy.
That objection, just take it where it's from. Yeah. No objection. Okay. Let's move into district policy updates.
Went through the policies with I'm pretty proud of myself because I managed to convert a PDF back to a Word because I couldn't figure out how to do Word search and replace in PDF. And my computer cooperated long enough to get through them. There are 19 changes in one policy. Cassie, do you remember which one that was?
Yeah, boarding use.
Yes.
Board.
And then we had, then there was 2 mentions on the expenditure policy purchasing, and then there was one other that had.
Signifier.
I think you had that out of here in the, yeah.
Now, this is all in line with what we've been discussing about the DBA type thing. What we've done is done a search and replace and then looking for, if you feel it's appropriate. In fact, this was your idea from the last meeting, was doing a single motion to adopt these amended policies. If it wasn't, those were the only 3 that listed the fire chief. All the other ones were general policies that didn't specify fire chief by name.
Have they been, has there been an actual amendment created yet, or just a discussion so far?
So he has actually amended the documents, so we didn't have a resolution.
So we could.
There's no hurry here either. We could get that ready by the next meeting perhaps.
Yeah, so tonight I would entertain a motion to approve the amendments to Board Policy 2025-001, Board Policy 2025-002, then board policy 2025-004, that's the 19, 2, and 6 changes. So entertain that.
Make a motion, approve policies changed.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the amendments to board policy 2025-001, -002, and -004. Any further discussion? Okay, roll please.
Director McGowan?
Yes.
Director Benetti?
Yes.
Director,
Yeah.
Director Murphy?
Yes.
Yes. And a resolution created for next meeting. Okay, all right. Anything further with that? Move out of that and look at the item G, the fire district purchasing card update. It's all you, sir.
Okay, currently, as we brought up before, with Evergreen, they will not issue purchase cards. In order to get a card for the executive director, it would have to be a debit card, and to get a debit card, you have to be a signee in the entire account. So I started doing some checking, and Mark had come up with the deal with U.S. Bank, which turns out that's not for our type of thing. But I talked to Scott in the local office. He referred me to a gal in their main office, who then referred me to David in their main office. They will issue Visa cards. We don't even have to put our account with them, and they will still do it a certain way they do it. The problem we may have initially is we don't have a track record of money coming in and such like that right now. So that's something, what I'm looking for tonight is just to go ahead. David wants to have like a 45-minute phone meeting with me to go over more stuff. And then Scott also locally, we can go talk to Scott. Some of the things they do is if you spend more than, if you spend $2,000 plus a month on the card, they give you money back. We don't get any of that from Evergreen. We get you've seen what we approved from Evergreen. So my recommendation is we keep money in Evergreen to cover payroll once we get that figured out. And some of the things we automatically have coming out. But take and transfer another part of it over to U.S. Bank, where we will accrue better interest rates on that money sitting there that we will use for the general, everything else of our insurance and our monthly costs and things like that on that. Because another thing that I didn't bring up in that savings we will have, I don't think we are going to be spending anywhere near what we've spent on legal fees this coming fiscal year. It will be way.
I have a question, since Jay's sitting here, he's the work person. You mentioned if we make money back on the credit card, how do we do that in the budget? Do we have to put that in a general fund, or how do we show that money is coming back in for something like that? Because we just set our budget.
It would usually just be recorded as another income line item. So you've got a $40,000 line item in your budget for other income, which includes like interest and miscellaneous revenues.
Okay.
So it's not, you're not talking about a front-loaded Visa card, right?
No.
It's just a straight Visa card from another district bank?
National credit card instead of debt.
But you did mention that there may be an issue because we don't have a record. If we were to open an account with them, that would be a certain amount of money that we just held in there to cover any offset, and had those direct payments coming out of that account.
Yes, because without money in there, then we just get a bill from who does their Visa thing monthly. Like you said, I can get a lot more information. when I talked to David, I'll see if we can maybe, if you're available, we can do a conference call.
Could we do a conference call with David at US Bank with Scott?
Possibly, yeah, I'll go with
At
Scott.
the same time, so.
Yeah.
we're all on the same page.
Because Scott left me a message yesterday, and see if we can get together and just do a Zoom kind of thing with them.
Well, just sitting here listening to Evergreen, why are we staying with Evergreen? Obviously, there's a lot of reasons we're not happy with it. There's some other entity that would better serve our needs instead of piecemeal.
I would suggest that we establish payroll with them before we get this going. And like we have Starlink coming out automatic,
Yeah,
Amazon set us.
When I'm calculating my needs, it's worth a little extra trouble to make these changes now. And let's get set on a path because, I mean, just the interest alone is going to cover a month.
Yeah.
Just in a year.
The research I did is the reason Evergreen doesn't do cards is there is costs and more liabilities with Visa cards, and they don't want to do that. Debit cards, not only talking to Scott and David, I also talked to Road Credit, and they said with debit cards, if somebody gets in your account, it can be very difficult to get the money back if you don't catch it almost instantly. Unlike a Visa card, you can get money covered back. And I think that's some of the reasons that Evergreen does that, because they advertise as being a low-cost bank. And
They can get your, but it, 2 or 3 different times been compromised. And it was not a problem. They went in, they didn't pay it. I got my money back. They give me a new card and, all's well. So I'm very happy with Road.
Even Road Credit Union doesn't do the credit cards, so.
yeah, I had a meeting.
I'm just saying that there is some securities, but maybe not as good as a credit card.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just ask because Randy brought it up. Does anybody have an objection if Ralph and Mark in this meeting?
Just look at it.
Please. I'd say go forward with the meeting with the intention that we could move her.
So without objection, right now,
Sorry.
yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, if you're, after this discussion, if you're willing to reopen public comment, I've got a few comments that I think the board might find helpful in this discussion and an earlier discussion you had as well.
We'll do that. No objection on that.
No, big.
Out of that, we're finally into new business. 15. New businesses, committee reports, staffing, training, education, policy, prevention, vehicle acquisitions. Do we have anything, staffing and training?
The PERS establishing themselves as a PERS employer. And I feel like it's getting a little out of my wheelhouse, like this is getting into some HR things, this is not really staffing. And same with the finance, creating some challenges trying to connect us with a payroll company that I thought was gonna be a little smoother, but it has clearly created some challenges that are outside of things that I'm familiar enough with. And the whole finance thing, even for Ralph to keep punching away as he's doing, I think there's some complexities there. Like becoming PERS employer, that I have a handle on with a resolution. And now how does that transition with Social Security? And there's some ways to get through that, but trying to maintain consistent contact with PERS and PERS has a representative with Social Security that works in the PERS office that helps navigate that. But those are things that are, I think, outside of staffing. I don't know how we want to address that. Like it's more of an HR type element, but I want to limit the challenges I continue to create for now.
I kind of, with what Tom's saying, it's kind of out of a lot of our wheelhouses.
Yeah. It's an HR
Yeah.
position that we don't have.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think HR answers with SDAL can help with some of this, but to be truthful, I'm not sure how that comes together. And again, it's only look at the challenges that I can create trying to do the right thing.
so are we, Are we in position for this resolution tonight?
I feel that's where I would say I'm gonna stop. Is with that resolution, because that to me, I understand that needs to occur for us to become a permanent employee. So once that occurs, then it transitions into the financial elements of a person employer, and then I'll say our finance or payroll department to navigate the conversations with PERS. They do the transitions, they send the funding to PERS to allocate to individuals' accounts.
So would we be authorizing, well,
What we're doing with the resolution is that we are saying as a board, we are agreeing to be PERS employers. From that point, then our payroll, we are established with PERS, then they make the contact with PERS as to how the money is transferred, and then all the management from that point forward.
So district office is our payroll entity.
I would put it in that broad term. District authorizes our,
Or designate.
payroll designee to represent.
contracted payroll company?
Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever wording sounds the most appropriate. You're not about, to,
Payroll company? Yeah.
which we don't seem to be really having.
And I guess we do it as current payroll company, then it covers in the future.
I would agree with that. And with the challenges that I recommended we would engage states, not to get off the PERS thing, but because they are the payroll services for Evans Valley and these other districts. I thought it would be a lot smoother, because it's common practice for them, and I'm not experiencing that is necessarily what we heard. I've had multiple conversations, you also have multiple conversations, and we get to the same stick point. So I'm personally comfortable with any of the information asked for with social security number. I think there's something being missed, I feel like there, because I know nobody in Fire District 6 or Road River or Illinois Valley gets social security numbers, so
Right.
we're not any different than that, but I don't have any information or know what that means to move forward with some purpose.
Yeah, because the thing that amazed me, going back to the social security number with Allstate, is that, if you call Road Credit Union or somebody else to affirm who they're talking to, they'll ask for your last four digits. Right? And that's all they need. And that's what she said to me at first. And I was like, okay, I'll give you my last four digits. There's chances you figuring out the other ones are, But then she comes right back, I need all of it. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, you told me you needed a social security number to set up a BIN number, which you didn't need. After all, you found that out, finally doing a bunch of research. And now you're saying this and changing midstream. I'm like, that's why I think we need to talk to Evergreen or whatever we're gonna do, because
We need some more.
those places affirm who you are, just the last four digits and your date of birth. And she got that from me. She got my name, phone number, date of birth, my last four digits.
Well, then what happens when you change and somebody else is a treasurer or a different president or vice president? It's how long do we attach any person to our district business? But besides that, I feel like from the PERS standpoint, identifying ourselves as a PERS employer, this resolution, us chief, you have any suggestions or thoughts with that? I feel like from that standpoint, they're positioned to move that forward. If we are in agreement to that, which we've come to that conclusion.
I'm going to do a little research, because just the example of using QuickBooks, that's just a platform.
Right.
I know lots of businesses that use it, and they calculate payroll with it. Right. Have to come outside of PERS. I think that one's probably a little bit.
There's actually, but when I had my business, my mom did the payroll, and then my wife did when she got involved. They actually, the state and county and stuff, they send you a book and you figure this is their pay, and this is how that whole breaks down, how to do pay.
So it's a matter of processing information you're given, and you've got this tool called QuickBooks you use. I'm not seeing outside of if the bank was requiring it, which you already established, doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I'm perplexed as well, Tom, but I'm gonna do a little research on it myself to reach out to some people in business and simply find out why we can't just get somebody to QuickBooks and do this calculation.
As far as identifying ourselves as PERS employers, I feel like we've had that discussion and we agree that we do want to recognize and be PERS employers. Outside of the payroll piece, I think from the PERS standpoint, this resolution is the information we need, we agree to, that we can submit to identify as being PERS employers. From that point, then there's elements I'm aware of.
Willing to decide on item 8 on the district intends to submit the 6% IPA contribution to the employees for that using the employer paid pre-tax or the member paid pre-tax method. So we need to decide on which route we go, employer paid or member paid pre-tax method.
I would be a supporter as a benefit to the employees that the district contributes the 6%.
Employer.
So the employer paid pre-tax.
Correct.
DPPT.
So I would ask for a motion on that decision before we move forward with this resolution.
So I do make a motion that we recognize, not only recognize ourselves as PERS employers, but then we, so as a district,
He's just out.
Yeah, let's back up.
So the
resolution, we need to make a motion on this item 8.
So that we change item number 8 on the resolution 2026-09 to be on behalf of the employer paid pre-tax.
Thank you.
Perfect. Say second. Yeah, second.
Motion and a second to approve line item 8 as follows. The district intends to submit 6% IPA contribution on the employee's behalf using the employer paid pre-tax EPPT method. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
EP.
What did I say?
EPA.
Oh, sorry.
It's not fair.
Thank you. He's ready. Yeah. Have those and readers. Okay. So, with that being said, any further discussion? No. Take the roll on this, please.
Director McGowan?
yes.
Director Benetti?
Yes.
Director Wiley?
Yes.
Director Murphy?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so now with that, we move to the resolution. Board of Directors Resolution 2026-009 in the matter of participation in the PERS employee program. The resolution of the Board of Directors of the Mid-Road Fire District is an employer of public employees, and whereas the district wishes to begin participating as a PERS covered employer, and as the district must determine and establish parameters for future application to the PERS program for the Mid-Road Fire District. Now, therefore, the Mid-Road Fire District Board of Directors hereby resolves as follows. The district intends to join PERS. The district authorizes current payroll company to represent it to establish the coverage agreement with PERS. The district shall extend PERS coverage to all of its employees who work in qualifying positions. The district will participate in the Oregon Public Service Retirement Program, Pension Program, and the OPSRP Individual Account Program, IAP. IAP. The district will participate in the PERS Chapter 238 program for members of that program that it currently employs or may hire in the future in the class or classes designated for coverage to the extent set forth above. The district intends to participate in the unused sick leave program pursuant to ORS 238.350. The district does not intend to participate in state and local government rate pool, SLGRP. The district intends to submit the 6% IAP contribution on employees' behalf using the employer-paid pre-tax method. The district proposes to the district proposes to commence participation beginning of
June 1st.
we have to go to their first date, correct? May 4th, 2026. Okay. All right. So with that, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion we adopt the Board of Directors Resolution 2026-009 participation in the further employee program.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Hey, with respect to Jay's background and knowledge, I just want to clarify, anything that you wanted to bring up, would that affect anything on this? Okay, and that's all I would.
For the vote, please.
Dr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Director Ramsey?
Yeah.
Director Ramsey?
Yeah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Need 7th day. A. 6 months. Okay, has that covered meeting staffing issues?
Yes.
Okay. We'll move out of training.
Nothing to report.
Communication. So you all have probably received some communication from me involving our email system. Please get that transitioned as soon as possible. And as soon as you do, send me an email and I will make sure that your old one is forwarded to this new one. It's a great system. It allows sharing of calendars, so make sure that we're not missing anything. And if you do want to give our administrative assistant access to your calendar so that she can post any meetings that you may have on your behalf, you can do that through the calendar app.
I'm going to set a challenge. I haven't been able to get logged into the gov.gov.
So yes, it's a very secure system, which is good. If on your laptop or computer you have any type of anti-tracking software, you need to go in and allow 3 different URLs to access your computer, and I can send it to you. Are you getting the envelope that just sits there and opens?
I enter and I open, I enter the email, our current email for there's a word for it that I can't think of. When you go to find your password.
Oh, to reset your password.
Yeah, and I entered
I need more information, basically.
the site. Is it something account? My current email, it says does not exist.
Okay. I will send you another, some more information tonight with a, you can just go and fix it. Did anybody else have?
Just need to put phones so that it has.
Yeah, so on the phone, you'll need to download the Outlook app. Otherwise, the other apps will not allow you, it will not allow it to be added to the internet. It probably won't, unless that's an Outlook app. Oh, it is, okay.
I still have the other email.
Then it should, yeah, if you need to, you log in and there should be somewhere in there where you can get a QR code to add into your phone, so.
IT Tech can handle that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doing a good job, though.
I'm the IT guy. And then the other part of that is the website has been updated. So it is all the .gov website now. And but I need to update some pictures on there eventually. And Try to update the rest of getting all the packets and everything in there so it's all up to date.
Not tonight.
Possibly.
You doing catch up, do all the leads, catch up everything, and email service.
Oh, yes, and once you are done, once you do have everything set up on the new email, and just let me know, I will get your old stuff forwarded, and then I'm gonna have to go into the old one and export the stuff to a folder, so I'm gonna actually have to go in and change your password for that. And then take those items and move them into a folder that will then pop up on your, hopefully, if I do this right, it will pop up on your new email as old mail. Okay. Hoping I get it right.
You can test plug one and
I did it on mine, so I'm hoping I'll be able to do it to the rest of you, but we'll see. So that's it for communication. Moving into policy, I'll let you take it over, sir.
So, last meeting, we talked about need for employee vehicle use agreement. I basically just took the board use agreement and we pass this down. There's one for Phil as well. Basically just cut out the board, the employee. So it's the exact same. It didn't have fancy part, so it's just so you guys can look at it and see what needs to be changed. And in regards to that policy, $1.50 on DMV, you can get your driving record. There you go, the point. And according to the policy, the way it reads, it makes, the way this reads is that the district's going to get that report that we were going to issue individually, but I didn't know, so I just went in and did it real easy. Cost me $1.50. There you go. So no big changes on that except for employee instead of the. And then the bottom is approved by the executive director or the board president. The reason I did that is just because we have an option in case he's out on vacation somewhere and need to get this filled out. Fill out for him.
I think it's policy easier than this reading.
So this just needs to be formally typed up and brought back to the state meeting for
We can keep it now as amended and then sign it next week. Yes. Need it. Okay, yeah, so we're gonna create this and there is and get it typed up with the meeting policy.
if anybody has any recommendations for changes.
And then we'll have the resolution, yeah, we'll do it next meeting. All right, so, yeah, without objection, we'll move forward, bringing this back to the board, next meeting as a actual policy with a resolution.
No good.
Just write it.
And this is in the draft
Folder, yeah, that's how.
I accidentally overread the employee, but the board, it was in the draft part, so it's in the actual policy. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
See, I believe is a PDF.
yeah, it's already in, it's in the policy paper. If that's just in the folder.
Perfect. Okay, how about prevention? Status quo?
I did get a contact, I'm trying to get over my phone here. Cheryl from the board out at IB, sat in a presentation with Matt Rummage. He did a community wildfire preparedness event last week out there, and she just wanted to say that she's talking about having him present at the OFDDA in November, and then he has a lot of good information regarding the district and insurance. So, if like that presentation will to Hood River, but possibly maybe reaching out to him to talk to his flower district as well.
Do you have any prevention stuff for the website? I put on the BF fire levels.
Yeah, it's looking cool. Oh, yeah.
So that or made it as a picture, put it on there, they can click on it and enlarge it so they can see what they can and cannot do.
The other one I was trying to find was US Forest Service. To see if we could, I'll find their website. Because they do good prevention stuff for wildfire mitigation.
All right, moving into vehicle acquisition, vehicle equipment, anything to report there? Are we good? It still runs. Moving down to A, more business. Movement to item 10, additional over requested elements. So
I have something, but can we do Jay?
this is going to Jay go first. Yeah. So we you for your.
So, real quick, since it's late.
Yeah.
On the credit card issue, I would highly recommend you look into a credit card system called RAM. RAM is a multi-billion-dollar, highly reputable company that it's a free-to-use 3-in-1 system. The three parts of the system are employee expense reimbursements, online bill pay, and then, of course, credit card. They're most known for their corporate credit card program. It's an extremely convenient system that can be portable. You can use it with Evergreen now. If you choose to move to a different bank in the future, you can, all you gotta do is go online and say, we're gonna use this bank, so that, you know, the payments on the card, they can come from any that you choose to use in the future. So if Evergreen doesn't have an acceptable P card program, this can take that place. I've used it with dozens of companies that I do accounting work for. I'm the treasurer of a local nonprofit organization that has a budget a little bit bigger than the district, and we use it for the local nonprofit as well. It's an amazing system, and you don't need a social security card to issue a P card for
Sold.
Right.
so yeah. I just added one of our nonprofit employees to the system earlier this week, and it just takes a name, address, telephone number, and email address, because it's.
So if you Google ramp, you get information on it.
And I can get you. I don't know if they take municipalities. I think they do, but I know they take nonprofits. I think you just have to demonstrate that you've got like 75 grand in your bank account, and they'll take your municipal money. I can, Mark, I can get you the, our account rep information if you please.
Yeah,
reach out to me.
great.
So it's an amazing system. Highly recommend it. It would serve you well, even if you had, dozens of employees in the future. So on that note, when you get to the financial planning part of, the strategic planning for whatever the measure is going to be, when you get to some key milestones, I'd be happy to be another set of eyes on those financial projections, if I'm able. So reach out to me when that time comes. And last but not least, the topic of when you spend limited dollars on PR type purposes, as you continue discussing how to do that. There's something that we did a couple of times with the city of Grants Pass when we were doing public safety funding measures. While I was there, you can, just in case you're not familiar with this, you can, there's limited, the district can't spend dollars advocating for the measure. Staff can't advocate for the measure when they're representing themselves as staff. But what you can do is you can put together a factual, this is what the measure would do or would not do if it passes or doesn't pass. You can put together a factual sheet. You can run it by, I think it's the Oregon Government Ethics Commission. But I think it's called you can have them do a safe harbor statement where they review the language and make sure it's not advocating one way or the other. And once they give their stamp of approval, you can use district dollars to send out mailers or, post a flyer on social media or however you choose to distribute that. So there is a way that you can actually get state approval to distribute information about a measure as the district, and you can spend district dollars doing that once you get the stamp of approval that it's not advocating one way or the other. It's just factual information about what the measure would do if approved.
So call that the safe harbor.
I think, yeah, don't hold me to it. I think they called it a safe harbor provision, but basically you put together like a draft flyer, you send it to the state agency, they take a look at it, and, you know, they might change a few words here and there and say, okay, you're good to go. So that gives you the legal approval to basically distribute it as a district, and as a public agency, you know, the blessing of the state to distribute that as factual information about a measure. So what we did with the city is we went through that process, and then we ended up putting, in some cases, we ended up putting some brochures in the city utility bill that were about what the measure would or wouldn't do. So that is, that's one way to spend limited district dollars on PR type purposes. So wanted to bring that to your attention. So
Thank you.
that's it.
All right, this was a mess, and then all of a sudden, I'm filling out this form and go, bingo. Do you guys remember when we had to do a in lieu of audit and it cost us $80? That was back on October 7th of 25. So we got this letter and it said, we have performed review, Midville Fire District in lieu of audit, and it's missing all kinds of information. And it was this long thing, all this stuff is missing. So I went and I downloaded their in lieu of audit form and started filling it out. It had to put every one of the director's names down and all that stuff. And I hit the next page and that's financial stuff.
Social security number.
No. It goes, how much was in your budget at this point? And then I realized it was actually, and Ruth must have made an error doing it. This was for fiscal year 24-25. Not even ours. We were, and so I go, wait a minute. So I called Wendy back, who was the rep from the state, what do you call it? Anyway, Department of Revenue. And I explained it to her. I said, hey, we didn't get sworn in until July 1st of 25, and we didn't get funded until August 8th of 25. She goes, oh, disregard it. She goes, it's in my lap now. Okay. So she's gonna talk to her boss who's on vacation, and I told her, if you need anything at all, reach out to me with it.
For 24-25, it started in November, and it was the county commissioners who were.
That's what I told her. I said, this is the county commissioners who were in charge back then. So anyway, I was like,
That won't cause any problems here.
yeah, I blame Cassie. I told her, I said, you need to talk to Cassie. Cassie's in here.
Okay. Anything else?
I do. I have two things. June 8th, I will not be attending the meeting nor be online.
June 8th?
Yep. To our next.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna miss out on the good stuff.
Okay.
And then I would like to just put it out there that we have a title for Phil Turnbull as our executive director, but I'd like to put it out there that we call him Chief, because I've been around him in my career and he's always been Chief. Tom's gonna call him Chief, and it's just gonna come out. And then I just like to put it out in front of the board if anybody has a hang up about it, that our executive director's nickname title is Chief.
Not Ed? Not Ed?
I still like it.
Chief Ed. Or Plunky.
So,
That helps.
just want to throw it out there that I'm okay with calling him Chief, if he's okay with us calling him Chief, because that's just a title that's been his for years, and that's gonna be hard for me to say anything different.
Well, I did it tonight. I said it tonight, so.
Thank you. Are you okay with that, Chief? I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anything else? Nothing else?
You put Chief on the helmet.
Okay, so hearing no other, I would, without objection, would like to adjourn this meeting.
With no objection.
So without objection, this meeting is adjourned at 7:44 p.m.
2 hours and 14 minutes.
So long. I'd like to suggest